talked to my family doctor first, and I was surprised that she wasn't that surprised. So she put me in touch with a counselor, basically a sex counselor. And at that time, I had to go through the counselor before I could be recommended to any clinic or a hormone treatment, anything such as that. I saw this counselor for about 6 months. They say in most cases you see maybe 3 psychiatrists and maybe 4 psychologists. I ended up seeing 6 psychiatrists and about 6 psychologists. And the tricky thing was they all ask you the same questions, just to ask it in a different way. And the purpose is that every single one of them has to agree that I'm who I'm saying I am.
I think that's where most people struggle, that I've made this choice. This cannot be something you're born with, this is something you've chose to. He said, or before that, he would say, he's like, I've always believed it's the parents' fault. If a son or a child was gay, it was the parents' fault. And he goes, now I don't know where I went wrong. He's like, and he used to sit there and trace back, oh, I maybe made a mistake here, I maybe made a mistake there. And I'm like, Dad, Mom, you didn't make mistakes, this is who I've always been. I said, Dad, I'm upset with you, because he goes, you know I still love you, I just don't, I'm not happy with who, like, this choice. And I'm like, it's not a choice. You're unhappy with me for who I am. Like, you're unhappy because I have brown eyes, dark skin. I'm like, how can you be upset with me for that? And he goes, do you remember when you were a kid and I used to have to hit you when you were bad? That wasn't a choice I made. That was something I had to do. And I'm like, no, Dad, that was a choice you made. You chose to let anger get the better of you. The good Lord did not raise your hand and make it come down and hit you. And I'm like, that's a choice you made. That is completely different from my situation. And I said, you're dark skinned, you've been discriminated for it before, right? And he said, yes, and he's been called every name under the book. And I said, when someone's attacking you for that, how does that make you feel? Like, that's not a choice you made. And I think that's when it really hit home for him. Because there's been people calling him, can I use these words? Like, he's been called Packy, he's been called the N-word, and I can't even say that word. And he's been called that, and it destroyed him. And I said, now how do you think I feel when I get called homo or fag, or knowing that I can leave the house and be beaten up or killed for this choice you think I made? Why would I make that choice? And he would say to me, before he would say, oh, you're taking the easy route, you don't want to fight, you don't want to deal with women, you don't want to go through those troubles, so you're just going to sleep with men. And it came from a lot of physical insecurities I used to have as a kid, and I said, if you know anything about the gay world, everything's based on looks. I've made the hardest choice that there is. I'm like, women would love me. And after that fight, that was the last one we had. That's where he was really like, oh, it really hit home that maybe this isn't a choice, maybe this is something he was born with.
Well, this is Falkers Falls, where I used to come with my family hiking when I was younger. When I got older, in my years in high school, when I was really depressed, I would come here on my own. I used to feel kind of almost like a desperate anxiety, and I just needed to get away and be isolated. And so this is where I chose to come. I would stand right at the edge of the falls and contemplate what would happen if I went over the edge. And just seeing that, watching fate unfold beneath me, that was enough. It made me want to keep living.
It's not easy losing a father over trying to be happy. I think a lot of parents think that it's a choice to love somebody of the same sex, but it's not a choice. I am who I am, but I am choosing to be happy and love who I love. I'm a firm believer that once you know somebody that's different from you, that you're more sensitive to it, to the topic, to them. You're more understanding, you're more accepting. It's sort of like the people that have the cancer ribbons and the supporter troop ribbons on the back of their cars. They might not be cancer survivors or victims, and they might not be in the war, but they know somebody who has been affected by cancer or is in the worst. So they're more accepting and more understanding of it. So my whole mission is, don't judge me by my sexual orientation, but judge me by the content of my character. Judge me by who I am and what I do. Just like Martin Luther King Jr. said, judge me by the content of my character.
And then I had to wait to get a reply from all of them, whether yes I was, no I wasn't. I think I waited about 3 months, and then finally I got a huge package in the mail, and apparently they all agreed. Said, yes, I am a male to female, transsexual. I am the woman I think I am. So that was, whoa, so cool. I saw one endocrinologist. She was very open, very accepting. In fact, she said to me that my bone structure, the actual chest structure in my rib cage is not male, is feminine. So I thought, wow, cool.
One of the best lines I heard from an old friend of mine was, for you personally, he said to me, how long did it take you to come to terms with being gay? And I said, oh, I've been thinking about it my whole life. I'd say really thinking about it for about 3 or 4 years. And he goes, then you cannot expect any other person to take any less time than that. And he said, well, you've struggled with it. How can you expect them to just be openly accepting of it? You've questioned it, you've been angry with it, you've fallen into your own stereotypes also. So give some people the benefit of the doubt. You have to give them time. You have to be just as accepting as you were to yourself. People can be very harsh when they first hear it, but you feel almost threatened by it because there's so much negativity towards it sometimes, but you have to give people the time.